So I went to Vegas. I met this beautiful, beautiful lady over here on YouTube. She's Dolly Mama Beauty. She's such a beautiful person. And I had heard about her Would I Buy It Again series. There have been some creators on the platform that have already done this. And I was like, oh, I love this concept. I love this. I love this. And I want to do it for myself. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video. We're doing a Would I Buy It Again video. I actually initially found out about this video series from Rachel Palmieri, who is here on YouTube. I will link her channel down below. And also from Samantha March. She used to do a whole Would I Buy It series on her channel. Now she does it kind of more sporadically, but it used to be like a Will I Buy It Wednesday type of series that she had. The videos stemmed from Dolly Mama Beauty, who based her Would I Buy It Again series on the Samantha March Would I Buy It series. And I got to meet Dolly Mama Beauty. Her name is Amy. When I was in Las Vegas, I got the chance to chat with her, get to know her. She is a very beautiful person. I will leave her channel linked down below, but she does have this series of Would I Buy It Again? It's all having to do with eyeshadow palettes and would you buy these eyeshadow palettes again? I decided to do a random number generator from the numbers of 1 to 100, and I clicked the button about 6 times to be able to come up with the palettes. So I went from all of my palettes that I have on my desk that haven't been put away, which I have palettes that I'm like playing with currently, and also in my drawers, and counted through the list. And I got 7 palettes. 7 palettes? Seven palettes. I feel like it's going to be a really interesting video because the palettes that I pulled out are very like. So the premise is, would I buy these again? Actually, not one of these is from the same brand, which is good. And the first one I'm pulling out is the Blend Bunny Lure palette. It's actually still in its sleeve. But this came out, I want to say last year. Was it last year? I think it was last year or the beginning of this year. Blend Bunny is an independently owned brand. This palette was fashioned after a mermaid. And if you see the color story inside, it has this beautiful aesthetic of going from, a dark, like a lighter shade to a darker shade. And it also is separated by rows. So you have blues, you have pinks, you have turquoise, you have purple, green, and then there's like mauve brown. I actually love this palette and I actually used it quite a bit when I first got it. And this is the first Blend Bunny palette I had ever purchased. It was mermaid themed, and I actually don't have something that has the depth that this eyeshadow palette has. And I love the way it's just like aesthetically appealing. It's definitely such like look how visually appealing this is. It's just so beautiful to the eye. Like there's so many color combinations that you can come up with just by going down a row or even going across like this. And I really feel like it's just so eye appealing to me. One of my favorite shades is actually this one right here. It is just an insanely gorgeous iridescent multi-chrome that shifts from a pink to a purple to a green, and it is just so beautiful. I am a sucker for multi-chromes. Like I love multi-chromes. One of my favorite brands is Electrum Cosmetics, which has handmade, hand mixed multi-chromes. And I love a good multi-chrome. This is a beautiful multi-chrome. This palette in general is just so easy to work with, so easy to play with. I love using these darker shades as like an eyeliner because that's just me. I'm not a very colorful person. Let's just put this on my lid because we can. Would I buy this palette again? I did get quite a bit of use out of it when I first received it, and it's kind of ironic because it's not really been in my like rotation of palettes because of the type of color story it is. The type of color story, it just kind of reminds me more of like spring summer with like these pastel shades, and then because it's super colorful. And I really feel like this is something I would wear more in like the spring summertime, not necessarily in the winter, because I'm not a colorful person in the winter. I'm just more like neutral, very neutral eye looks like what I'm wearing today, maybe a splash of color. And because this is all color, I'm just like, I don't feel like I get a lot of use of it in the winter months. In the summer months, oh heck yeah, I get a lot of use out of colored eyeshadow because I love the pinks, I love the purples, I love the minty shades. But would I buy this again? It's a hard question because like it is so beautiful, but has it really stuck out as like a palette that I can't live without? Like I can live without this palette, which is sad to say. It is a beautiful palette. Maybe my mind would be changed when I'm actually like using it more in those summer months again. But honestly, in the mindset that I'm in right now, I probably would not have purchased it again. I'm sorry, Blend Bunny. I'm really sorry. Okay, we have another indie brand palette, and it is from Klarity Cosmetics. This is the Bridal Party palette. This is actually being discontinued. And I have used this a couple of times on my channel. I actually used it when I first started using the Singe Beauty brushes, and it is a stunning palette. Overall, I've always loved the Klarity Cosmetics like formula. I think that their foils are just like to die for. They are so pigmented, so metallic, so absolutely like like look at that. That's just so beautiful. They're very reflective, and this is what I look for in a eyeshadow palette when I'm looking for something that's going to be added to my collection. Like what kind of value is this going to add to my collection? And I can honestly say like the foil formulas in Klarity Cosmetics are some of the best formulas on the market for foils. Like if you just look, my hand looks like it's covered in wet metallic goodness. They're just so good. Now, their matte shades they're pretty good. They're very decently blendable, pigmented, easy to work with formulas, but honestly, I think the foils and the multi-chromes when they put those in their shadows, I think that's really what sells the palette. Now, would I purchase this palette again? Like, I just love this palette so much. Honestly, I feel like to me, this is like the perfect bridal makeup. No pun intended, because it is called the Bridal Party palette. But honestly, to me, this is like the perfect bridal makeup look. And being the type of person who loves doing more neutral looks with like some, very metallic formulas, honestly, I think I would purchase this one again. And like you can't beat a foil like this, where it's just one swipe and you have like foiled goodness all over your face. Like it's just so good. And I'm pulling out this one. It is the ItsBel Cosmetics Dawn of Fall palette. And I already know the answer to this one because I had actually been watching this palette for like when it came out. I had been watching it and watching it and watching it. If I remember correctly, I ended up getting it on sale. But this is your true fall palette. This is one of those palettes though that I love to pair with another like warm toned palette. So like I have the Matte Obsessions from Huda Beauty, the Warm Matte Obsessions. Those pair like super nicely together. But this is a palette that is completely full of multi-chromes, dual chromes, and just like foily shade. I love this palette. It is so unique because of the foils in this palette, like just the multi-chromes, the dual chromes, and everything like that. And it is just so stunning when it's paired with just a great matte eyeshadow look. Like I just honestly, like I would buy this again because it's fall. I love fall. And the color story really reflects like what fall looks like with the changing of the leaves, with the red, the purples, the greens, even like a little bit of blue, because fall does have that almost blue feel to it sometimes. And it's just the changing of the leaves, the green leaving, the cetaphil leaving, and like you get these like really beautiful shifty gorgeous shades. And literally, this is just like the definition of fall to me. I love this palette. I have used it so much. If they ever sell this palette again, pick it up. It's so unique, so different. Like, next, we have the Gourmande Girls Warriors Wear Pink palette. This is a purple pink color story with a little pop of like blue in there, like a turquoisey blue. We do have some reds. We have like that black shade in there. I actually really enjoyed this palette and used it quite a bit. I actually can't wait to bring it out for Valentine's Day because it is that pinky. It's the pinks, the purples, the reds. Like that screams to me Valentine's Day, and I tend to wear those more during Valentine's Day. The Warriors Wear Pink palette was actually a collaboration with Syria Soto, who has breast cancer. And a portion of the proceeds of the sales of this palette went to Syria to help her fight breast cancer. I actually had a chance to talk with the owner of Gourmande Girls, and I wrote an article about this specific palette, and it's up on Everything Beauty News, which is my beauty news site. And that was honestly a really fun article to write about the Warriors Wear Pink palette, because not only did Syria create this, but a proceed of the sales went to Syria. I actually love the Gourmande Girls formula. This is my first Gourmande Girls purchase. I'd heard that they have an amazing formula, and I was actually really glad to purchase this one because a portion of the sales obviously went to Syria and it was supporting Syria. But I'm also like, I love pinks and purples. Like when I started dipping into more colorful makeup, it was always pinks and purples. And this is just like classic Staci, classic like I love pinks and purples, and like I said, I can't wait to use this for like Valentine's Day. It is a really fun palette. It's beautifully curated. The formulations are really easy to work with. The actual like quality of the makeup is absolutely stunning, and I really don't have anything like this in my collection. A lot of my eyeshadows are very neutral, and then I have like pops of color like with the Blend Buddy one, but honestly, I don't have a lot like this. All right, a Colourpop one. Lust for Dusk. I actually bought this palette because it's literally a spot for spot dupe for the Rose Metals palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills. At least I think it is. I think it's really, really similar. I actually bought this palette because I wanted to test it against the Rose Metals palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I actually haven't done that yet, but I do think that the quality of this eyeshadow palette is pretty on par with Colourpop. I like that there's warm tones and cool tones in here. Like you get a gray, you get some purple shades in here. You do have like a cooler toned, almost like a mauve shade, but you do have like it's like dual-sided. Colourpop is not a bad formula at all. I think this is a beautiful curated palette. I feel like I would not purchase this one again. Honestly, the whole reason why I purchased this is actually because I feel like it's a dupe for the Rose Metals palette from Anastasia. So like honestly, I probably would not like purchase this again. The Radiance palette from Jolie Beauty. Look at the packaging, by the way. Like, this is just beautiful. This is one of the first things that I had ever purchased from Jolie Beauty. I'd actually heard that their quality was so good. And I'd also heard that their glitter formula was like absolutely stunning and just insane. I opened this palette. I saw the beautiful packaging, which actually the packaging reminds me of the Anastasia Sultry palette, which has something really, really similar where it's like that glittery, almost feels like sandpaper feeling. That's what this one feels like. Now, this one is obviously a bigger eyeshadow palette than the Sultry palette, and the color story is just different in general. This is very warm toned. This is like your true, honestly, this is a really good fall palette because of all the warm tones that you get in here. The one thing that I do have to say is that the glitter formula from Jolie Beauty is very, very good. The glitter formula is actually pretty decently pigmented. When I first tried this eyeshadow palette, I was like, maybe this eyeshadow, maybe these glitters are really similar to the Tati Beauty Texture Neutrals Volume 1 in comparison to like the glitter shades. I'm not a huge glitter person, but I do like that there's two different shades in here. One's more cool tone, one's more coppery, warm toned. And I do like that there's like different versions of like warm toned colors in here. It's a warm toned palette. Very, 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 very warm toned. And it is really beautiful. I also really like Crystal, this shade. It's like a true gold. And this shade is actually almost wet. And I've actually put it on my eyes before. And it is just, it's almost like a chunky, almost looks like chunky gold on your eyelids. And it's wet. It's really beautiful. I like this palette. But would I purchase it again? Like if I wanted to buy a Jolie Beauty palette, would I buy this one again? I kind of wish the Radiance palette was not warm toned. I wish it was cool tone, because if this was a cool tone neutral palette with the glitters that it has and like some of the quality with the blendable mattes in here, I would probably say yes, I would keep it, because I'm a cool tone person. I love cool tones, but this is so warm toned to me. I'm just like, why? I don't think I would keep it because it's warm toned. Honestly, because I'm more of a cool tone person, that really makes a difference in between whether I would keep it or wouldn't keep it. This eyeshadow palette. Spirit of Autumn palette. Don't even know the name of my own palette. This palette. Oh, this palette, guys. Speaking of warm tones, this is my palette. This is a palette that I curated with Unhidden Beauty. It's called the Spirit of Autumn palette. I actually have like my original like cover front before I changed it and redesigned it, but the shades on the inside are exactly the same. This is when I tried the new Unhidden Beauty formula when they reformulated, when they actually became Unhidden Beauty. Formerly they were known as Beautonomy, and this was like the first palette that I created with them being known as Unhidden Beauty, which is custom curated palettes. I love this palette because it is so fun to play with. I actually have done some really beautiful fall eyeshadow looks. I have a whole video of the best fall palettes of 2023 if you guys want to go check that out. I know it's not fall, but go check it out anyway. I also have a full face of nothing new makeup where I actually use this eyeshadow palette. I create a really beautiful eyeshadow look with it. I really like the quality of these shades. Like, it's just, Unhidden Beauty did such a good job when they got a new lab, when they started actually, when they became Unhidden Beauty, when they weren't Beautonomy anymore. They picked a great lab to create their eyeshadows because these are very pigmented, easy to blend, and I can create some absolutely stunning looks with any of my Unhidden Beauty palettes. This is one of my favorites. I always bring this out in the fall time. Ever since I designed it, ever since I put it into my collection, I would never get rid of this one because I designed it, but I also just love the quality of the eyeshadows in this palette. Like, it's just so, 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 so good. Last palette, would I buy it? We have the Muse palette from Cosmic Brushes. Cosmic Brushes is a UK brand. This is also an independently owned makeup brand. And I love this eyeshadow palette. It's actually really fun to like look at and curate some really beautiful eyeshadow looks with it. I've actually used it quite a bit. And I think this one out of all of them is my favorite because it's a little bit more like neutral with a twist leaning, which it was in my neutral with a twist video. And I honestly love this because greens are easy to transition into colorful and neutral, but it also has browns. It has some purples in here, which a purple eye can look neutral. And it also has the mauve tones. It has these darker tones, and then it has like brighter, poppier colors in it. And I really do like this Muse palette. I actually want to play with it more. Now, would I repurchase it? I think it's a gorgeous palette. I think it's beautiful. It's pigmented. It has such a great payoff. I think I need to do a palette bingo with all these palettes just to see like what I could create with it. I love it. It is grungy. It's grungy like me. I love grungy eyeshadow, and I think I would keep it. This video has me questioning a lot of things that are in my collection. That's for sure. Maybe that's the whole point that Dolly Mama Beauty was like totally thinking about when she created this like tag to see like, okay, would you actually repurchase it again? Would you repurchase it again? Like, is it a staple of mine? I love the thought process behind this. There we have it. A would I buy it again with eyeshadows? You know, a handful of eyeshadow palettes. Would I purchase them again? What are my thoughts on them after having used them a couple of times? If you guys want to see another video like this, leave me a comment down below. I think I need to play a palette bingo. If you want to see palette bingo, leave me a comment down below because I think I need to see, like, I need to do palette bingo. I'm pretty sure. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel, hitting the like button, and I hope I get to see you again. Bye!